All right, in number 9, q squared. Let me put this on. Q squared plus 2q minus 8 is 0. The factors of minus 8 that we add to give plus 2 and multiply to give minus 8 are plus 4 and minus 2. So that's q squared plus 4q minus 2q minus 8 is what? 0. That gives me what? q plus 4 minus 2q plus 4. I think that's going to be pretty simple. You do it yourself on a rough sheet like we did in the first exercise. Is q plus 4 is what? 0. So spread this out now. Q minus 2 is 0, or q plus 4 is what? 0. So q is 0 plus 2, or q is 0 minus 4. What does that give you? That gives you q is 2, or what? Minus 4. So take note of that. Number 10. Question 10 says x squared minus 2x plus 1 is 0. X squared minus 2x plus 1 is equal to what? 0. Now, take note, x squared is the same thing as 1x squared. So this is 1x squared minus 2x plus 1 is equal to what? 0. 1 times plus 1 plus 1. So minus 1 minus 1. These are the two numbers that we add to give minus 2 and multiply to give plus 1. So these are our factors. I will write this as x squared minus 1x plus 1 is what? 0. I'm not going to be showing all the steps in my factorization. I'm sure you know that perfectly well by now. X minus 1 is 0. X minus 1 times x minus 1 is equal to 0. So spread it out. X minus 1 is 0, or x minus 1 is 0. X is what? X is 0 plus 1, or x is 0 plus 1. X is equal to 1 or 1. So that's the answer to that question. Number 11 now. Question 11 now. Y squared minus 5y plus 4 is 0. Y squared minus 5y plus 4 is 0. Y squared is the same thing as 1y squared. So let me just put it here. So I do 1 times plus 4 to get plus 4. Factors that we add to give minus 5 and multiply to give plus 4 are minus 1 and what? Minus 4. Add to give the minus 1 and minus 4, we add to give minus 5 and multiply to give plus 4. So what does that give me? Y squared minus 1y minus 4y plus 4 is 0. So y times what? Y minus 1 minus 4 times y minus 1 is what? 0. Is 0. What does that give you? Y minus 1, y minus 4 is 0. So y minus 1 is 0, or y minus 4 is 0. Y is 0 plus 1, or y is what? 0 plus 4. I will soon start skipping these steps. I'll just write my y is equal to 1 or y is equal to 4 straight. So y is 1 or y is 4. Y is equal to 1 or 4. Take note of that. Y is equal to 1 or 4. Number 12 now. Question 12. A squared minus 9a is equal to 0. A squared minus 9a is 0. This one is simple factorization. A into bracket a minus 9 is 0. We did something like that just recently. A is 0, or a minus 9 is 0. A is 0 or a minus 9 is 0. A is 0 or a is 0 plus 9. So a is equal to 0 or 9. A is equal to 0 or 9. So the only difference here is that we are the ones doing the factorizations ourselves. There's actually nothing new. Just like what we did in 10c and 10d. B squared minus 9 is what? 0. B squared minus 9 is 0. This is B squared minus 3 squared is 0. So that's B plus 3. It's a difference of 2 squares. B minus 3 is equal to what? 0. So B plus 3 is 0, or B minus 3 is 0. So B is 0 minus 3, or B is 0 plus 3. B is minus 3, or B is plus 3. What does that give us? B is minus 3 or 3. B is minus 3 or what? 3. Number 14 now. I think I'm getting the number right. Okay, number 14. Let's go. Number 14 is c squared is 25. C squared is what? 25. There are two ways of doing this. Let's do it like this first. 6 squared minus 25 is 0. So c squared minus 5 squared is 0. This now becomes a difference of 2 squares. This is a square. This is also a square. So this is a difference of 2 squares. So I'll change it to c plus 5. C minus 5 is equal to 0. That means c plus 5 is 0, or c minus 5 is 0. That gives you c is what? 0 minus 5 minus 5, or c is 0 plus 5, 5. C is 5, or c is minus 5 or 5. So c is minus 5 or what? Or 5. So that's number 14. Okay, there's another way of doing number 14. You could also do it like this, or you could also do it like this. The question says c squared is 25. C squared is 25. You can just write c is plus or minus square root of 25. That's what we do in maths at this kind of step. C is equal to plus or minus 5. So c is equal to plus 5, or what? Minus 5. So you can do it like that too. Now, question 15 now. U squared minus 8u minus 9 is 0. U squared minus 8u minus 9 is 0. So this gives me what? U squared minus 8u minus 9 is 0. 1 times minus 9, plus 1 minus 9, plus 1 minus 9. Those are my factors. So I'll write u squared plus 1u minus 9u minus 9 is 0. I'm writing plus 1u minus 9u. Instead of writing minus 8u, I'll just replace that with these two. So you know how we do that. This will give me u, open bracket, u plus 1 minus 9, open bracket, u plus 1 is equal to what? 0. So that's u. That's what? U plus 1 times u minus 9 is 0. What does that give you? U plus 1 is 0, or u minus 9 is 0. So that's what? U is 0 minus 1, or u is 0 plus 9, or u is 0 plus 9. U is minus 1 or 9. That's number what? 15. Let's go to question 16. In question 16, v squared plus 2v. In question 16, v squared plus 2v. V squared plus 2v minus 35. V squared plus 2v minus 35 is equal to 0. So 1v squared plus 2v minus 35 is 0. 1 times minus 35 is minus 35. The factors are obviously plus 7 and minus 5. So I'm to change this to v squared plus 7v minus 5v minus 35 is 0. So this will give me v times what? V plus 7 minus 5 times v plus 7 is 0. What does that give us now? V plus 7 times v plus 7 times v minus 5 is 0. V plus 7 is 0, or v minus 5 is 0. V is 0 minus 7, or v is 0 plus 5. What does that end at? V is equal to minus 7 or 5. I'll keep shortening my steps, at every point on the ladder. X squared minus 6x plus 9 is 0. X squared minus 6x plus 9 is 0. This is the same thing as 1x squared. So I'm multiplying 1 by plus 9. That gives me what? Plus 9. What are the factors of plus 9? That we add to give minus 6 and multiply to give plus 9. They are minus 3 and minus 3. So this will, make me write x squared minus 3x plus 9 is 0. I've changed minus 6x into minus 3x. Take note of that step. This gives me x times x minus 3 times x minus 3 is 0. What does that end at? X minus 3 times what? X minus 3 is 0. So x minus 3 is 0, or x minus 3 is 0. X is 0 plus 3, or x is 0 plus 3. So that's my answer to number 17. Number 18 says 18 y squared plus 8y. Y squared plus 8y. Y squared plus 8y plus 16 is 0. Y squared is the same thing as 1y squared. Plus 8y plus 16 is 0. Multiplying 1 by plus 16, you get plus 16. So factors of 8 that we add to give, factors of 16 that we add to give plus 8 and multiply to give plus 16 are plus 4 and plus 4. So I'm to write this as y squared plus 4y plus 4y plus 16 is equal to 0. What does that give me? Y times y plus 4 plus 4 times y plus 4 is 0. So that gives me y plus 4 times y plus 4 is equal to what? 0. That's going to give us what? Y plus 4 is 0, or y plus 4 is 0. Y is 0 minus 4 minus 4, or y is 0 minus 4 minus 4. So at the end of the day, what do you get? Y is minus 4, or what? Minus 4. So that's that about number 18. Let's quickly answer questions 19 and 20 and maybe rest and continue later. Z squared minus 4z is 0. 19. Z squared minus 4z is 0. Z minus 4 is 0. So z is 0, or what? Z minus 4 is 0. Z is 0, or z is 0 plus 4. So z is 0 or 4. So that ends number 19. 20, question 20 now. Question 20 is z squared minus 4 is 0. Z squared minus 4 is 0. This one was z squared minus 4z. 20 is z squared. Now, let's go to the next exercise now. The question says, the instruction says, solve the following quadratic equations. Number 1 is a squared minus 3a plus 2 is equal to 0. Now, a squared is the same thing as 1a squared minus 3a plus 2 is equal to 0. So, first thing, 1 times plus 2 plus 2. We need to factorize what we have on the left. minus 1 minus 2. I'm going to be fast because we've done 3 stages of factorization that you are very familiar with, so I don't need to explain all of my elementary steps. That gives you a squared minus 1a minus 2a plus 2 is equal to 0. So here, a squared is what? A times a. Minus 1a is a times minus 1. So a is common. It will factorize into a times a minus 1. Also, minus 2a is what? 2 times a times minus 1. And plus 2 is what? Plus 2 is 2 times minus 1 times minus 1. We need to split that plus sign into minus 1 times minus 1 so we can get factors. So the common factors are minus 1 and 2. That's minus 2. We'll be left with a minus 1. So the factorization gives me a times a minus 1 minus 2 times a minus 1 is 0. As you can see from the left here, first part is a times a minus 1. Second part is minus 2 times a minus 1, and everything will be equated to 0. So take note of that. What does that give you? That gives you a minus 1 times a minus 2 is equal to 0. So a minus 1 is 0, or a minus 2 is 0. A is 0 plus 1, or a is 0 plus 2. That gives you a is 1 or 2. That's the solution to number 1. Let's go to number 2. B squared plus 5b plus 6. Number 2 is b squared plus 5b plus 6. The difference in this exercise is that we want to do the factorization ourselves before we now find solution. So b squared is the same thing as 1b squared. Let's multiply 1 by plus 6. We get plus 6. Factors of plus 6 that we add to give plus 5 and multiply to give plus 6 are plus 2 and plus 6. And this will give b squared plus 2b plus 3b plus 6 is 0. I can be skipping some of the factorization steps now because I've explained that a lot to you. I explained that a lot to you in the previous exercises, so I can skip them now. So I can skip some of them now in order not to make this exercise or video too long. So you do the factorization manually yourself to double check if you need to. So this gives b plus 3 is 0 or b plus 2 is 0. That's b is 0 minus 3, or what? B is 0 minus 2. What does that give me now? That gives me b is minus 3 or minus 2. That's question 2. Question 3 now. C squared minus c minus 2. C squared minus c minus 2 is equal to 0. In this question, c squared is the same thing as 1c squared. So minus c minus 2 is 0. 1 times minus 2, minus 2. Factors of minus 2 that we multiply to give minus 2 and add to give minus 1 here, because minus c is the same thing as minus 1c. Can you see that? So factors of minus 2 that we add to give minus 1 here and multiply to give minus 2 are minus 2 and plus 1. So this will become c squared minus 1c, c squared plus 1c, let's put it that way. C squared plus 1c minus 2c minus 2 is equal to 0. I don't think you need help with this, but let me just give these steps. C squared is c times c. 1c is what? What's 1c? C times 1. So c is common. I will get c times c plus 1 as my factors. In the second part, minus 2c is 2 times c times minus 1. We did this several times before. Minus 2 is 2 times minus 1. So the common factors are minus, that means my common factors are minus 1. And I'll be left with what? Okay, my common factors are minus 1 and 2. That's minus 2, highest common factor. I can slot in a 1 here. I'll be left with c plus 1. So the factorization gives c times c plus 1 and what? Minus 2 times c plus 1. So let me go ahead and write that. That means c times c plus 1 minus 2 times c plus 1 is equal to 0. Can you see the difference here? The factorizations are not, ready-made for us. We are the one to do the factorization before using it to solve the equations we have. So c minus 2 is 0 or c plus 1 is 0. C is 0 plus 2 or c is 0 minus 1. What does that give you? C is 2 or minus 1. Exactly. C is 2 or minus 1. So that's number 3. Let's go to question 4. I'm sure. Okay, I did numbers wrongly. Question 4 now is d squared plus 2d minus 3. Question 4. D squared plus 2d minus 3 is 0. D squared is the same thing as 1d squared plus 2d minus 3 is 0. I'm supposed to multiply 1 by 3, by minus 3. 1 times minus 3 will give me minus 3. The factors of minus 3 that we add to give plus 2 and multiply to give minus 3 are plus 3 and minus 1. So moving forward, I'll write my plus 2d in the middle here as what? As d squared plus what? Plus 3d minus 1d minus 3 is 0. So this factorization will be easy. You can arrange it anyhow. You can also arrange it like this. D squared plus 1d plus 3d minus 3 is 0. It gives you the same answer. So this is d times d plus 1 plus 3. Okay, I think I've made a mistake. Let me correct my mistake. So this can also be arranged as d squared minus 1d plus 3d minus 3 is 0. So this will be d minus 1 plus 3d minus 1 is 0. So that gives me what? D plus 3 times d minus 1 is equal to 0. That means take it 1 by 1. D plus 3 is equal to 0 or d minus 1 is equal to what? 0. That's what? D is 0 minus 3 or d is 0 plus 1. That gives d is minus 3 or 1. So take note. Number 5, question 5 now is e squared minus 7e plus 10 is equal to 0. E squared minus 7e plus 10 is 0. E squared is the same thing as 1e squared. Minus 7e plus 10 is what? 0. 1 times 10. That's what I'm supposed to do now. Multiply a by c. 1 times 10 is plus 10. Factors of plus 10 that we add to give minus 7 and multiply to give plus 10 and minus 2 and minus 5. So what does that give me? In spreading it out, I'll get e squared minus 2e minus 5e plus 10 is 0. This gives e times e minus 2 minus 5 times e minus 2. Do yourself a favor by refactorizing maybe somewhere in a corner or on a rough sheet so that you can get how we got these steps. Very important. This is the backbone of this exercise. So e minus 2 times e minus 5 is 0. That means e minus 2 is 0 or e minus 5 is what? 0. So e is 0 plus 2 or e is 0 plus 5. That gives e is 2 or 5. Exactly. That's all for number 5. Let's go to question 6. Says first m squared minus 4m is equal to 0. This will be pretty simple. M squared minus 4m is 0. Here m is common. M minus 4 is 0. I hope you understand how I did that factorization. Okay, let me show it here. M squared minus 4m is 0. M squared is what? M times m. Minus 4m is what? M times 4 times minus 1. So m is the common factor. M outside. What do you have in the first row? M. And in the second row, minus 4. So this is going to give you m times m minus 4 is equal to 0. That gives m is 0, or that gives what? M is 0, or m minus 4 is 0. So m is 0, or m is 0 plus 4. That's equal to what? M is 0 or 4. So that ends that. Take note of that question. It's a bit different from the first examples we did. Number 7. Question 7 says n squared plus 5n is 0. N squared plus 5n is 0. This is the same thing. Let's factorize. N squared is n times n. 5n is what? N times 5. So the common factor is what? The common factor is n. The common factor is what? N. So n times n plus 5. N times n plus 5. So that means n times n plus 5 is equal to what? 0. N is 0, or n plus 5 is 0. What does that give us? N is 0, or n is minus 5. That gives us what? N is 0, or n is minus 5. My answers are n is 0 or minus 5. N is 0 or minus 5. Question 8 now. In question 8, p squared plus 7p plus 12. P squared plus 7p plus 12 is 0. P squared is the same thing as 1p squared. Multiply 1 by plus 12, you get plus 12. My factors are plus 3 and what? Plus 4. So this gives me p squared plus 3p plus 4p plus 12 is 0. So that gives you what? That gives you p. Okay, let me bring this down a bit. That gives me p times p plus 3 plus 4 times p plus 3 is 0. That's what? P plus 3 times p plus 4 is equal to 0. So p plus 3 is equal to 0, or p plus 4 is equal to 0. And that's going to be equal to what? P is equal to 0 minus 3, or p is 0 minus 4. P is minus 3 or minus 4. Take note of that. Okay, that was number 8. Number 9 now. Am I counting well? Yeah. Question 9. Q squared plus 2q minus 8 is 0. In question 9, q squared plus 2q minus 8 is 0. Q squared is the same thing as 1q squared. So multiply 1 by minus. Alright, let's do the last question. Z squared minus 4 is equal to 0. Z squared minus 4 is equal to 0. I can actually change this to z squared minus 2 squared is equal to 0. So I will now, this now forms difference of 2 squares. You understand? And that's z squared minus 2 squared. So that we factorize into z plus 2, z minus 2 is 0. So z plus 2 is 0, or z minus 2 is 0. What does that give you? Z is 0 minus 2, or z is 0 plus 2. So z is minus 2 or plus 2. So we have the answer to z here. Let's rest here for now. We'll continue in the next video.